Eric Donovan stared at the acceptance letter on his screen for the fifth time. He still couldn't believe it. The Galactic Exchange Program had selected him, the first human to ever study at Central Galactic University on Xanthus Prime. His heart raced as he packed his fuel out of personal items. Earth had only joined the Galactic Confederation 3 years ago, and humans were still seen as the new, somewhat primitive species from a backwater planet. "Mom, I'm leaving in 2 hours," Eric called downstairs. His mother appeared in the doorway, eyes shining with pride and worry. "Just remember what Ambassador Clark said. You're representing all of humanity out there," she said, straightening his collar. Eric nodded. "I know. Be polite, don't make assumptions, and try not to break anything." He smiled, but his stomach twisted with nerves. The transport ship hummed quietly around him as he gazed out the viewport. Stars streaked by as they traveled through fold space. Eric had never left Earth before, let alone the solar system. Now he was going to a planet hundreds of light years away to study with aliens who had been exploring space when humans were still figuring out agriculture. The ship emerged from fold space with a gentle shudder. Through the viewport, Eric saw a gleaming world of blue oceans and purple-tinged continents. Orbital stations circled the planet like jewels on a string. As the ship approached the main station, Eric pressed his face against the glass. Vessels of all shapes and sizes moved in precise patterns through space. "First time off-world?" asked the blue-skinned attendant. "That obvious, huh?" Eric replied with a nervous laugh. The attendant smiled. "You'll adjust. Everyone does." The shuttle ride down to Xanthus Prime made Eric's ears pop. The pilot explained that the planet had lower gravity than Earth, about 70% of what he was used to. "You'll feel lighter here. Watch your movements until you adjust," she warned. The university sprawled across a vast plain. Buildings of impossible shapes reached toward the sky. Some curved like waves, others spiraled upward with no visible support. The central dome pulsed with soft light that shifted colors every few seconds. As Eric stepped off the shuttle, he immediately felt the difference in gravity. His first step sent him stumbling forward, his bag flying from his hand. A passing student with 4 arms caught it effortlessly. "Thanks," Eric said, taking his bag back. The alien nodded its eye stalks and moved on without speaking. A university guide, a tall insectoid being called Vexilla, led Eric through a dizzying array of corridors and open spaces filled with students from countless worlds. Some floated in bubbles of liquid, others crawled along specialized pathways on walls and ceilings. "Your living quarters will be shared with Zilvex, a third-cycle student from Ventus," Vexilla explained, pointing to a doorway that adjusted its size as they approached. Inside, Eric met his roommate, a willowy being with translucent skin through which complex organs pulsed with blue light. Zilvex spoke through a translator device clipped to what Eric assumed was a shoulder. "Human, I requested an interesting roommate. This is fortunate," Zilvex said, voice buzzing through the translator. Eric reached out a hand, then pulled back, remembering his cultural training. "Sorry, I don't know the proper greeting." Zilvex waved 4 tentacle-like fingers. "Your human customs are acceptable. I have studied Earth documentaries." Later that evening, as Eric unpacked, he accidentally bumped a heavy storage unit. It tipped toward Zilvex, who froze in alarm. Eric lunged forward and caught it, pushing it back into place. "Sorry about that," Eric said, not noticing Zilvex's stunned expression. "You lifted that with 1 arm," Zilvex said quietly. "It weighs nearly 40 kavlers." Eric shrugged. It wasn't that heavy. The next morning, Eric received his class schedule. Professor Nell's Comparative Xenobiology was his first class. As he walked into the lecture hall, conversations hushed. Dozens of different species turned to look at him, some with eyes, others with sensory organs he couldn't identify. Eric took a deep breath and found an empty seat. He had no idea that his ordinary human body was about to become the most discussed subject at the university. Eric soon learned that being the only human at Central Galactic University meant being alone most of the time. 2 weeks had passed since his arrival, and students still moved away when he walked down hallways. In the dining hall, empty seats always surrounded him, as if he carried some disease. "It's not personal," said Zilvex as they walked to class together. "Most species here have never met a human before. There are rumors." "What kind of rumors?" Eric asked. Zilvex's skin flickered blue with discomfort. "That humans are unpredictable. That your bodies contain dangerous levels of iron. That you might explode with rage like in your entertainment videos." Eric laughed, but nobody joined him. He realized Zilvex was serious. Professor Null's xenobiology class was the worst. The professor, an ancient Fedolian with skin like wrinkled leather and 6 eye spots around his head, often used Eric as an example without warning. "Notice the dense bone structure of the human," Professor Null would say, pointing at Eric. "Evolved for a high-gravity environment with frequent physical impacts. Most unfortunate." That day, Professor Null announced the term project. "You will work in pairs to study the evolutionary adaptations of your partner's species. Choose your partners wisely." Students quickly paired up, carefully avoiding eye contact with Eric. He sat alone, watching as everyone found partners. Even Zilvex paired with a floating gas-bag creature from a distant moon. "It appears we have an odd number," Professor Null observed, his eye spots focusing on Eric. "Who lacks a partner?" Eric raised his hand slightly. No one else moved. "Interesting," said Professor Null. "Lana Vex, you have the highest grades. You will work with the human." A tall, slender student with pale violet skin and silver hair stood up. "Professor, I plan to work alone. My research will benefit from direct observation of an unusual species," Professor Null finished firmly. "The arrangement is decided." Lana Vex looked at Eric with clear disappointment. She gathered her devices and moved to sit beside him, keeping at least an arm's length away. "We can meet in the library to begin our research," she said coolly. "I assume you can read Galactic Standard." "Yes, I had to learn it before coming here," Eric replied. "Good. Tomorrow after final session. Don't be late." She left without another word. Later that day, Eric received a message from home. He smiled seeing his father's face on the screen. "How's space school, son?" his father asked. "Different," Eric admitted. "No one wants to be near me. They think I'm strange." His father laughed. "You'll show them what humans are made of. Remember when you were 10 and fell out of that tree? 30 feet up, and you walked away with just a broken arm." "Dad, that's not helping," Eric groaned. The next day, Eric met Lana in the library. She had already set up a workstation with multiple screens displaying what looked like scanning equipment. "I need baseline readings of your physiology," she explained, still keeping her distance. "Stand there." Eric stood where she pointed. "Shouldn't we talk first? Get to know each other's planets?" "I know about Earth," she said dismissively. "A Class 9 planet with excessive gravity, radiation, and atmospheric pressure. What I need is data on how these conditions affected your evolution." As the scan started, Eric asked, "What's a Class 9 planet?" Lana looked up, genuinely surprised. "You don't know? It's a death trap world. Almost no sentient species evolve on Class 9 planets. Those conditions kill most life forms." "Earth isn't that bad," Eric said. "We have beautiful places, forests, oceans, mountains, and regular lethal storms, tectonic activity, and predators." Lana interrupted. Her scanner beeped. "Speaking of lethal, did you know your skeleton could withstand impacts that would shatter most species in this room?" Eric shrugged. "I broke my arm once, falling from a tree." "You fell from a height and only broke one bone?" Lana asked, eyes widening. She quickly noted something on her device. "It wasn't a big deal," Eric said. "I was back playing baseball 2 months later." For the first time, Lana looked directly at Eric, her expression changing from disinterest to something else, something that looked very much like fear. Over the next week, Eric noticed Lana watching him closely. In the dining hall, she sat 3 tables away, taking notes when he ate his food. In the hallways, she followed at a distance. Once, he caught her scanning him with a small device when he was lifting his bag. "If you have questions, you can just ask me," Eric said one day after class. "We're supposed to be partners." Lana jumped slightly. "I'm gathering observational data," she said. "It's more accurate when the subject isn't aware." "I'm not a subject. I'm a person," Eric said. "And I thought we were studying each other's species, not just you studying me." Lana blinked her large violet eyes. "You want to study Centaurians. Why?" "Because that's the assignment. And because I'm curious about your world, too." Lana seemed to consider this. "Very well. We can exchange information. Meet me in Lab 7 after your last class." That afternoon, Professor Null announced a practical exercise. "Today we will experience different gravity conditions. This will help you understand how environment shapes physical form." The class moved to a large chamber where the gravity could change in different sections. Students from high-gravity worlds demonstrated their strength in Earth-like conditions, while those from low-gravity environments showed their agility. "Human Eric, please step into the low-gravity chamber," Professor Null instructed. Eric walked into the section marked 0.3 G and immediately felt himself becoming lighter. He took a careful step and found himself floating upward. Around him, several small alien students moved gracefully through the air, clearly at home in these conditions. "Control your movements," Professor Null called. "Use small gestures." Eric tried to adjust, but when he reached for a handhold, he pushed too hard and spun wildly. He crashed into a delicate-looking student with 4 wings who had been floating nearby. The student let out a high-pitched sound of alarm and began falling. Without thinking, Eric pushed off a wall, caught the student mid-air, and twisted his body to absorb the impact as they hit another wall. He cradled the small alien carefully in his arms. "Are you okay?" Eric asked, setting the student gently on a platform. The alien stared at him with all 6 eyes wide open. The entire class had gone silent. "Such speed," Professor Null said, breaking the silence. "And in low gravity where you have no experience. Fascinating reflexes." Later, in Lab 7, Lana was already working when Eric arrived. Multiple screens showed images of Earth, stormy seas, lightning strikes, forest fires, and animals hunting each other. "These are normal on your world?" she asked without looking up. "Well, yes. That's just nature," Eric replied. "Nature that would kill most sentient beings in the Confederation," Lana said. She pulled up a chart. "Look at this comparison. Xanthus prime gravity, 0.7 G Earth gravity, 1 G atmospheric pressure on Xanthus, 0.8 standard. Earth, 1 standard. Average radiation levels on Earth are 3 times higher than what most Confederation species consider safe." Eric frowned. "But we live there just fine." "Exactly," Lana said, her voice intense. "That's what I've been researching. Humans evolved on a world that would kill most species. Your normal is everyone else's nightmare." She displayed an image of human bone density compared to other species. "Your skeleton is like armor to us. Your muscles can exert forces that would tear my body apart. Your digestive system can process toxins that would kill me instantly." Eric sat down, stunned. "I had no idea. We're just normal to us." "Not normal," Lana said, shaking her head. "You're apex survivors from a Deathworld, and nobody in the Confederation realizes it." She looked at him with new respect in her eyes. "I think we need to show them. Our project just got much more interesting." A message flashed on Eric's device. Another human had arrived at the university. A student named Sam Rivera was looking to meet him. "Lana," Eric said slowly, "I think you should meet Sam too. If what you're saying is true, We're going to need more evidence. Eric met Sam Rivera at the University Welcome Center. Sam was shorter than Eric, but had broad shoulders and a wide smile. He wore the same blue uniform all Earth students received. Finally, another human, Sam said, grabbing Eric's hand and shaking it firmly. I've been here 3 days, and everyone looks at me like I might bite them. They might not be wrong, Eric said, lowering his voice. I need to show you something. Eric took Sam to meet Lana, who was still working in Lab 7. When they entered, she was comparing images of Earth animals to creatures from other worlds. Is that a bear? Sam asked, pointing at one screen. Yes, Lana said. A common Earth predator that would be considered a planet killer on most worlds. Just a black bear, Sam said with a shrug. They usually run away from people. Lana stared at him. You share your world with these creatures. We have much more dangerous animals than bears, Eric explained. Lions, tigers, sharks, crocodiles. And you're not even the top predator? Lana asked, adding notes to her device. Well, we are now, Sam said. But that's because we're smart, not because we're naturally the strongest. Lana turned to Eric. You said you wanted evidence for our project. Having 2 human subjects is perfect. She handed them both small devices. Wear these. They'll record your physical activities, internal temperature, and stress responses. Over the next week, Eric and Sam wore the monitors while Lana gathered data. She watched as they lifted heavy objects in the gym, ran faster than most species in the fitness center, and healed quickly from small cuts in cooking class. Our presentation is in 3 days, Lana said as they gathered in Lab 7 to review their findings. I think we should title it Evolutionary Adaptations to Extreme Planetary Conditions. The Human Case. Sounds boring, Sam said. The content won't be boring, Lana promised. When the class sees what you can do, they'll be shocked. On the day of the presentation, Professor Nell's classroom was full. Word had spread that the human project would be interesting. Lana spoke first. Most species in the Confederation evolved on worlds with similar conditions: moderate gravity, minimal radiation, stable climate, and few large predators. She displayed a chart showing different planets. Earth is different. Eric stepped forward. We didn't know this until recently, but Earth is what you call a Class 9 planet. What that means is, it means humans evolved in conditions that would kill most of you. Sam interrupted. A murmur went through the classroom. Lana continued. The average human can withstand radiation levels that would be lethal to 90% of Confederation species. Earth's gravity is 2 to 3 times stronger than most inhabited worlds. Humans can heal from injuries that would be fatal to others. Eric displayed images of Earth's extreme environments: hurricanes, volcanoes, deserts, Arctic regions. Humans don't just survive these conditions, Eric explained. We explore them for fun. Sam showed a video of mountain climbers scaling a sheer cliff face. This is called rock climbing. It's a hobby. The class shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The atmospheric pressure on Earth would crush many of your bodies, Lana said. The temperature variations would kill most sentient species, and yet humans consider this normal. To demonstrate, Eric and Sam did a series of push-ups. Then they held their breath for over a minute. Finally, they showed how they could eat foods containing compounds toxic to most alien species. In conclusion, Lana said, humans are not simply another intelligent species. They are Deathworld survivors with physical capabilities far beyond most Confederation citizens. Professor Nell's eye spots had widened during the presentation. When Lana finished, he stood up quickly. Class dismissed, he said in a strained voice. Early. As students filed out, many looked back at Eric and Sam with new expressions. Not curiosity anymore. It was fear. By the next morning, everything had changed. Students no longer just avoided Eric and Sam. They now actively moved to the other side of hallways when they saw the humans coming. In the dining hall, tables emptied completely when either of them approached. This is worse than before, Eric said as he sat with Sam for breakfast. At least then, they just thought we were weird. Now they think we're monsters, Sam agreed, biting into a fruit that tasted like sweet potato. Lana joined them, carrying her food tray. Several nearby students stared at her in shock. "You've become famous," she told them. "Our presentation has spread across the entire university network. I've received 17 messages from professors in different departments asking for our research." "Great," Eric said without enthusiasm. "So everyone's afraid of us now." "Not everyone," Lana said. "The military science department is very interested, and the Medical Research Center wants to study your healing abilities." As they talked, Eric noticed 2 university security officers standing near the entrance, watching them. They wore the standard blue uniforms, but had added what looked like protective gear. "We have an audience," he whispered, nodding toward the guards. Lana looked over casually. "They've been following you since yesterday. Haven't you noticed?" "What?" "No," Sam said, turning to look directly at the guards, who quickly pretended to be talking to each other. Later that day, Professor Null called Eric, Sam, and Lana to his private office. The professor seemed agitated, his eye spots changing color rapidly. "Your presentation has caused quite a stir," he said. "The university officials have contacted Earth's ambassadorial office to verify your claims." "We didn't lie about anything," Eric said quickly. "No one is suggesting that," Professor Null replied. "But the implications are significant. If humans can truly withstand conditions that would kill most species, it raises questions about your potential role in the Confederation." "What kind of questions?" Sam asked. "Military questions, mainly," Professor Null said. "Several defense ministries have requested copies of your data." Eric felt his stomach sink. "We didn't mean to cause trouble." "Science often has unintended consequences," Professor Null said. "Which brings me to my next point. The Galactic Scientific Council has requested that you present your findings to them next week." "The Scientific Council?" Lana gasped. "That's a tremendous honor, Professor." "Indeed," Professor Null agreed. "They rarely take interest in undergraduate research. But in this case, the implications extend beyond academic curiosity." As they left the professor's office, Eric noticed more security officers in the hallway. They weren't even trying to be discreet anymore. "I don't like this," Eric told Sam and Lana as they walked across the campus. "It feels like we're being watched." "You are," Lana confirmed. "Those aren't just university security. Some of them are from planetary defense forces." "How do you know that?" Sam asked. "The uniform insignia is different," Lana pointed out. "And my father works in government. He called me this morning to ask about the humans in my class." As they passed the central plaza, they saw a group of students gathered around a large screen. A news broadcast showed images of Eric and Sam from the presentation, alongside pictures of Earth's natural disasters. The revelation that Earth qualifies as a Class 9 death world has prompted emergency meetings among several Confederation security councils, the announcer was saying. Human representatives have been asked to provide assurances about their species' intentions within Confederation space. Eric stopped walking. "They think we're dangerous, aren't you?" asked a small voice behind them. They turned to see Zilvex, Eric's roommate, standing at a safe distance. "You live on a world that would kill me instantly. Your bodies contain enough strength to break my bones by accident. And now there are rumors that more humans will be coming to study here." "We would never hurt anyone," Eric insisted. "Perhaps not intentionally," Zilvex said. "But your very nature is a threat to many of us." The news screen changed to show a large ship approaching Earth's solar system. The headline read, "Military Advisory Board sends delegation to human homeworld." The next morning, Eric and Sam received an urgent message to report to the University Administration Building. When they arrived, they found a human woman waiting for them. She wore the formal blue and gold uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. "Eric Donovan, Sam Rivera. I'm Kate Winters, Junior Ambassador from Earth," she said, shaking their hands firmly. "We need to talk." Kate led them to a private meeting room where Lana was already waiting with Professor Null and a stern-looking university official. "You've caused quite a situation," Kate said once the door closed. "Earth's ambassadorial office has been flooded with messages. Some Confederation worlds are calling for restrictions on human movement and activities. All we did was give a class presentation," Eric protested, "about how humans evolved on a world that would kill most sentient species." Kate replied, "About how your bodies are naturally stronger, more durable, and more resilient than nearly every Confederation species." "It's true, though," Sam said. "Of course it's true," Kate agreed. "But there are diplomatic ways to introduce such information, ways that don't cause panic." Professor Nell's eye spots changed to a deep blue. "Ambassador, the research was conducted properly. The students simply followed scientific methods." "I understand," Kate said, "but now we need to manage the fallout." She turned to Eric and Sam. "I've received instructions from Earth. You need to downplay your capabilities." "Lie?" Eric asked. "Not lie. Just be careful what you demonstrate," Kate explained. "No feats of strength, no displays of endurance. Try to seem more fragile." The university official spoke for the first time. "The safety of all students is our priority. Perhaps the humans should attend classes remotely until this situation resolves." "That won't be necessary," Professor Null said quickly. "These students have done nothing wrong." As they discussed the situation, alarms suddenly blared throughout the building. Red lights flashed in the corridors. "Structural alert in Sector 7, announced a calm voice over the speakers. "All beings please evacuate in an orderly manner." They rushed into the hallway along with dozens of panicked students and staff. As they reached the main atrium, a loud cracking sound came from above. Eric looked up to see a large support beam breaking away from the ceiling. Below it, a group of smaller alien students were frozen in fear, staring upward. Without thinking, Eric ran toward them. He heard Sam shout behind him, but didn't stop. As the beam fell, Eric positioned himself beneath it and raised his arms. The metal structure crashed down onto his shoulders. Pain shot through his body, but Eric held firm. The beam was heavy, even by human standards, but he kept it from crushing the students below. "Move," he shouted to the small aliens, who quickly scurried to safety. Sam reached him seconds later and helped take some of the weight. Together, they carefully lowered the beam to the floor. The atrium had gone completely silent. Hundreds of eyes, eye spots, and sensory organs were focused on the two humans. "Are you hurt?" Lana asked, rushing to their side. Eric rotated his shoulder, wincing slightly. "I'll have some bruises. Nothing serious." A small recording drone hovered nearby, its lens focused on them. Similar drones were positioned around the atrium, capturing the scene from multiple angles. "This is exactly what I meant by not demonstrating your capabilities," Kate said quietly as she joined them. She pointed discreetly to the drones. "That footage will be across the galactic networks within hours." Later, in Kate's temporary office, they watched the news reports. The footage of Eric and Sam holding the beam had indeed gone viral. The headlines were alarming. "Human students display shocking strength. Deathworlders among us. The human threat. Military vessels from 3 worlds approach Earth's solar system." Kate looked grim as she turned off the screen. "The situation is escalating faster than we anticipated. Some fringe political groups are calling for humans to be classified as a dangerous species. But we saved those students," Eric said. "Doesn't that count for anything?" "To some, it proves how dangerous you could be if you wanted to cause harm instead of prevent it," Kate replied. The next 3 days were tense. Eric and Sam were moved to special quarters in the diplomatic wing of the university. Guards stood outside their door, though Kate insisted they were there for protection, not imprisonment. "The situation is getting worse," Kate told them during a morning briefing. "A group called the Species Protection Alliance is organizing protests on 7 different worlds. They're demanding that humans be contained. Contained? Eric asked. What does that mean? They want Earth quarantined, Kate explained. No humans allowed to leave our solar system. Sam kicked a chair in frustration. This is crazy. We haven't done anything wrong. It's not about wrong or right, Kate said. It's about fear. Most species in the Confederation evolved in safe, stable environments. The idea of Deathworld survivors walking among them is terrifying. A soft knock interrupted them. When Kate opened the door, Lana stood there with a security pass clipped to her clothing. I have news, she said, entering quickly. Military vessels from 3 worlds are within Earth's solar system now. They're calling it an observation mission, but my father says they're positioning for a blockade. A blockade? Eric repeated in disbelief. They can't do that. Earth just joined the Confederation. They can if the Galactic Council approves it, Lana said. And there's an emergency session scheduled for tomorrow. Outside their window, they could see a crowd gathering in the central plaza. Many held signs with pictures of Earth's dangerous animals and natural disasters. One large banner read, "Protect our children from Deathworlders." This is getting out of hand, Kate said quietly. That evening, while Sam and Kate were meeting with university officials, Eric sat alone in their quarters watching news reports. The coverage was all about the human threat. Some channels showed the video of Eric and Sam holding up the beam, but with ominous music playing in the background. A message alert flashed on his device. It was from Zilvex. Meet me at Lab 12. Important information. Come alone. Eric hesitated. He wasn't supposed to leave his quarters, but Zilvex had been his first friend here. He decided to risk it. The hallways were mostly empty as Eric made his way to Lab 12, careful to avoid security cameras. When he entered the lab, he found not only Zilvex, but also several other alien students he recognized from his classes. What's going on? Eric asked, suddenly wary. We want to help, said a small furry student named Dex. Not everyone fears humans. Zilvex's skin pulsed with yellow light, a sign of excitement. The university is divided. Many students believe the anti-human groups are overreacting. And many professors, too, added a tall, plant-like student. Professor Null has been defending you in faculty meetings. Thank you, Eric said, touched by their support. But I don't see how this helps with military ships around Earth. We have access to information, Zilvex explained. My sister works in communications at the Galactic Council. Tomorrow, they will vote on whether to classify humans as a dangerous species and restrict your movement. Eric felt sick. That would end the exchange program. No more humans would be allowed to study here. Worse, said Dex, Earth would be isolated. No trade, no cultural exchange, no technology sharing. What can we do? Eric asked. The plant-like student stepped forward. The council values knowledge above all else. If you could show them that humans are more than just strong bodies from a deadly world, that you have something valuable to offer. Like what? Like how your evolution on a death world made you not just physically strong, but compassionate, Zilvex said. We've been studying your history. Despite your harsh world, humans spend enormous resources helping each other and even protecting other species. That's just basic decency, Eric said. No, Zilvex replied. It's extraordinary. Most species focus only on survival. Humans go beyond that. As they talked, Eric's device buzzed with an urgent message from Kate. Weichi Lari RU. Council NUVD UPEMERG and CWZESSION. Earth representative needs you now. Eric rushed through the university halls with Zilvex and the other alien students following close behind. They reached the transportation pad where Kate and Sam were already waiting with Professor Null. Where were you? Kate demanded. The council is gathering now. I have allies, Eric said, gesturing to the students behind him. And I have an idea. They boarded a fast transport to the Galactic Council building, a massive structure that floated on anti-gravity fields above the capital city. As they approached, Eric could see hundreds of delegates entering the main chamber. "What's your plan?" Sam asked as they hurried through security checkpoints. "To tell the truth, but not just about our strength," Eric replied. "About all of humanity." Inside the council chamber, thousands of beings from across the galaxy sat in rising tiers around a central speaking platform. The Earth representative, a tall woman named Ambassador Clark, waved them over urgently. "The vote is about to begin," she whispered. "Several worlds are pushing for immediate quarantine of Earth." "I need to speak," Eric said, "before they vote." Ambassador Clark looked surprised but nodded. "I'll request permission." The council president, a glowing being of pure energy contained in a special field, called the session to order. "We are here to discuss the classification of humans and their homeworld Earth in light of recent revelations about their Deathworld origins." A delegate from a water world stood up. "The evidence is clear. Humans possess physical capabilities that make them dangerous to most Confederation citizens. We propose classifying them as a restricted species." Murmurs of agreement filled the chamber. Ambassador Clark pressed a button, requesting speaking time. Earth requests that student Eric Donovan address the council before voting. He was involved in the original research that brought this matter to attention. After a moment's hesitation, the council president agreed. Eric walked to the central platform, his heart pounding. Thousands of alien faces watched him. "Members of the council," Eric began, "it's true that humans evolved on what you call a death world. Our bodies are strong because they had to be. But that's not the whole story." He gestured to Lana, who projected images onto the chamber's main screens. They showed humans helping each other during disasters, rescuing animals from danger, and building hospitals in remote areas. "Our harsh world didn't just make us strong. It made us helpers," Eric continued. "When your environment tries to kill you every day, you learn to protect others. That's what humanity does best." He showed more images: Earth's ecosystem preservation efforts, international aid during crises, and scientific breakthroughs shared freely with the world. "Yes, we can lift heavy objects. We can survive injuries that might kill others. But we use that strength to protect, not harm," Eric said. "The same video that frightened you, where Sam and I held up the falling beam, wasn't about showing our strength. It was about saving lives." Sam stepped forward and added, "Earth history is full of people who ran into danger to help strangers. We call them heroes." Zilvex moved to Eric's side. "I've lived with Eric for months. Despite his physical capabilities, he has shown only kindness." Professor Nall joined them. "As a xenobiologist with 50 years of experience, I can confirm that human physiology is remarkable. But equally remarkable is their cultural evolution toward cooperation and protection." The chamber grew quiet as Eric made his final point. "You don't need to fear us. You need to partner with us. Humans can go places and do things that would kill most of you. We can help explore dangerous worlds, handle emergency situations, and protect vulnerable species." He looked around the chamber. "Don't classify us as a threat. Classify Earth as a guardian world instead." The council deliberated for hours. Finally, the president announced their decision. Earth would be designated as the first guardian world in Confederation history. Humans would not be restricted but would be invited to join emergency response teams and exploration missions to dangerous environments. 6 months later, Eric stood before a new class at the university. The room was packed with students from dozens of worlds. "Welcome to Human Emergency Response Techniques," he said with a smile. "Today, we'll learn how to survive situations you never thought possible." Lana, now his teaching assistant, activated the screen showing a training simulation. Zilvex sat in the front row, no longer afraid of his human friend. On a new screen in the hallway outside, a report showed human first responders helping evacuate an alien colony during a volcanic eruption. The headline read, "Earth's Deathworlders." the guardians we never knew we needed.